Somebody in Port Charles did something they should not have done, and the walls are closing in faster than anyone expected. A man who has spent months trying to protect the people he loves is about to watch that protection crumble in his own hands. Files that should exist don't. Evidence that should be sitting in a police storage room has simply vanished, and the person closest to that missing evidence is starting to sweat in a way we have not seen from him before. Nobody saw this coming quite like this. How did it get to this point? And why does it feel like every answer in this town only opens up 3 more questions? Stick around, because by the end of this, you are going to understand exactly why Dante Falconeri is panicking, why Jack Brennan may be too late to stop what's coming, and why one dock, one lake, and one wheelchair are about to change everything for a family that already can't catch a break. Hey everyone! Anderson here. Welcome back to Soap Pulse, the channel that gets you the earliest and most detailed General Hospital spoilers before anyone else does. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because trust me, you are going to want to be here for what's coming in Port Charles. Now, let's get into it. Let's set the stage, because to understand why this next stretch of episodes is such a big deal, you need to understand what's actually at stake. For months now, there has been a shadow hanging over the shooting of Cullum on the pier. It's one of those storylines that seemed, on the surface, like it might quietly fade into the background the way some soap mysteries do. Instead, it has done the opposite. It has grown teeth. And according to the earliest spoilers we have for the week of July 27th, that shadow is about to swallow at least 2 major characters whole. The 2 names at the center of this are Dante Falconeri and Jack Brennan, and if you've been watching General Hospital for any length of time, you already know these are not minor players. Dante is a Falconeri, a cop by training and by blood, someone who has built his entire identity around doing the right thing, even when the right thing costs him personally. Jack Brennan, meanwhile, has become one of the more fascinating gray area figures in Port Charles, a man whose motives are never entirely clear, who seems to operate several steps ahead of everyone else, and who has a habit of knowing things he really shouldn't know. Publicly available spoiler reporting suggests that Dante is on the verge of panicking because something unethical and quite possibly illegal that he did in connection with the Cullum shooting is about to come to light, and Jack, for his part, appears to be racing the clock, trying to get ahead of a disaster before it's too late. The question we should all be asking is simple. Too late for what exactly? And too late for whom? To really appreciate how we got here, let's walk through the timeline, because the days leading up to that fateful week matter just as much as the week itself. We start on Wednesday, July 22nd, a day that spoiler reports indicate is going to be absolutely loaded with tension, and honestly, a day that plants nearly every seed that blooms into full chaos by the following week. On that Wednesday, we're told Brennan issues a warning to Devane. Anna, ever the relentless investigator, has had her associate Joe dig through the department's records, searching for the original case files connected to the Cullum shooting, and according to the spoilers, they come up with nothing. Not incomplete files, not misplaced files, just gone. Missing entirely, as if someone wanted them to disappear. For a detective like Anna, who has built a career on pulling at loose threads until entire conspiracies unravel, that kind of vacuum is basically an invitation. She's not going to let this go. Anna reportedly goes to Jack and tells him that, in her professional opinion, Kate's had the strongest motive of anyone to have pulled the trigger on Cullum that night. It would make sense, right? On paper at least, but Jack apparently shuts that theory down immediately, telling Anna flatly that it was not Kate. That's the moment where the real curiosity kicks in, isn't it? If Jack is so sure it wasn't Kate's, then who does he think it was? Spoiler chatter suggests Jack may actually tell Anna that he knows exactly who pulled the trigger, that it definitely was not Kate's, and that the WSB, the very organization that's supposed to be conducting an impartial investigation into Cullum, is instead running what amounts to a whitewash. According to this theory floating around in the reporting, Jack may believe the real shooter is someone who acted to save both Britt and Jason, someone who, in Jack's eyes, is fundamentally innocent even if the law wouldn't see it that way. And there's real speculation swirling that Jack could be on the verge of saying one very specific name out loud, Rocco's name. If that happens, if Jack actually says it, that single sentence changes the entire trajectory of this story. We'll get to why that matters so much for Dante in just a moment, but hold on to that thread, because it's going to come back around. Meanwhile, this same Wednesday has a whole separate emotional storyline unfolding at General Hospital, and it's worth talking about because it shows just how layered this week is going to be. Portia is finally getting the chance to bring her baby home, which should be an unambiguously happy moment. But according to spoilers, when Curtis suggests that maybe since it's the baby's first night home, he should stay there too, Portia doesn't exactly light up with joy. She looks hesitant, uncertain. And that leaves us wondering, is Portia about to surprise Curtis with a yes, inviting him back into that domestic space even temporarily? Or is she going to say no, and if she does, how does that ripple outward to Jordan, who would have every reason to have feelings about her ex-husband asking to spend the night at another woman's home with a newborn in the house? It's a small moment on paper, but soap fans know these small moments are often where the real emotional fireworks start. Elsewhere, Britt Westbourne is getting a taste of consequences. She just clawed her job back at General Hospital, and instead of being handed anything resembling a clean slate, she's reportedly stuck handling equipment for the hospital's softball team as part of her probation. It's the kind of humbling task that feels almost designed to test her patience, and word is that Liz is going to be keeping a very close eye on Britt during this probationary period. Anyone who knows the history between these two women understands that close eye might be underselling it a little. Then there's Valentin, who spoiler reports say is discussing something called the black box with Carly. This black box, whatever it actually contains, appears to be a serious point of leverage involving Brennan, and Carly reportedly asks Valentin a chillingly direct question. What exactly is stopping Brennan from killing him the moment he gets his hands on that box? It's not a rhetorical question either. It's the kind of line that tells you the stakes here are life and death, not just reputational. And over in a quieter but no less loaded conversation, Michael is caught off guard while talking to Jordan. He apparently asks her if she has any regrets, and speculation suggests this could be tied to Jordan previously turning down an offer from Sidwell to get her scars treated at the very same clinic where Michael himself was once a patient. If that's the case, it raises an intriguing possibility. Could Michael, given his history as a former patient there, actually be in a position to help Jordan skip the waiting list and get access to that treatment after all? It's a small thread, but it's one that speaks to how these storylines are never truly isolated from each other. Everyone in Port Charles is connected to everyone else, often in ways that don't become clear until weeks later. Wednesday also brings us a very charged, very quiet conversation between Lulu and Dante. Lulu tells him she knows exactly what she needs to do, she's just not sure she has it in her to actually do it. Given the ongoing custody tension involving Charlotte and Valentin, most signs point to this being about whether Lulu is finally ready to accept some version of 50-50 custody, allowing Charlotte to spend real time with her father, or whether she's instead leaning toward having Charlotte move in with Carly instead. Either direction carries real emotional weight, and rounding out Wednesday, we get a lighter, more grounded teen storyline. Quinn, played by Jaquan Jackson, returns as Kai's football friend, showing up with what seems like a genuine intention to make amends. But Kai isn't just going to let him off easy. According to spoilers, Kai makes it clear that any reconciliation is conditional. Quinn has to make things right with Trina too, not just with him. It's a small but meaningful reminder that this younger generation of characters is being written with its own sense of accountability, separate from the messier moral compromises the adults around them keep making. Now we move into Thursday, July 23rd, and this is where the missing case files storyline really starts to tighten around Dante's throat, so to speak. Laura reportedly comes to Dante with information, and everything about the way this is being teased suggests that Laura is giving him a heads up that Anna is now digging furiously, almost obsessively, into those vanished Cullum shooting case files. Laura, according to this theory, already knows the truth, that everyone close to this situation has been quietly protecting Rocco. And if Laura is willing to tip Dante off, that tells you something important. It tells you this isn't just an official police matter anymore. It's a family matter, a protection effort. And Dante, we're told, is going to appreciate that heads up because he is about to face serious consequences over this missing evidence. Here's where the tension really escalates, though, and here's a question worth sitting with for a second. At what point does Dante crack? At what point does the pressure of hiding the truth from Anna, someone he respects, someone who is actively working this case with everything she's got, become too much for him to bear? Spoiler speculation raises the very real possibility that Dante could eventually just tell Anna the truth about Rocco outright. Whether that happens in this immediate stretch of episodes or further down the line remains to be seen, but the fact that it's even being floated as a possibility tells you how close this situation is to a breaking point. Thursday continues to build out the rest of the canvas too. Alexis and Michael are shown comparing notes, likely about Willow, which suggests there's more brewing beneath the surface of that storyline than we currently know. And Anna, despite being consumed by the missing files, apparently still has bandwidth to make Chase an offer. Reports point to a shakeup happening within the PCPD that could give Chase a genuine shot at restoring his professional reputation, something he's clearly been chasing for a while now. It raises an interesting question. Could Anna actually be recruiting Chase specifically to help track down that missing shooting evidence? If so, that puts Chase on a collision course with Dante, whether either of them realizes it yet or not. We also get word of a heart-to-heart between Rocco and his grandfather, Sonny, almost certainly touching on the shooting itself. Given everything else swirling around this storyline, that conversation alone could be one of the more emotionally significant scenes of the entire week. A young man trying to process guilt, fear, and family loyalty all at once, guided by someone who has spent his entire life navigating the exact same murky territory between right, wrong, and survival. And then there's Nenah, cooking up what's being described as a wild idea. With Willow reportedly leaving town for a trip to DC, Nenah steps in to be the one present for Scout's lake swim, which means she'll be bringing Drew along with her. This is where things take a genuinely unsettling turn. Spoiler chatter suggests that Nenah, standing at that lake, looking at Drew in his wheelchair, might have a very dark thought cross her mind. Something along the lines of, accidents happen. That single implication hangs over the rest of the week like a storm cloud, and it's exactly the kind of detail that keeps viewers glued to their screens, because now you're not just watching a scene, you're bracing for what that scene might turn into. Which brings us to Friday, July 24th, and honestly, this may be the real gravity of Friday, though, centers on Brennan delivering bad news, and most signs point toward that news being for Nenah, because Brennan apparently cannot locate the black box that was so central to that earlier conversation with Carly and Valentin. So picture this. Nenah is out at the Quartermaine lake dock with Drew. She's on a call, presumably receiving or discussing that bad news, when Drew, of all people, stuns her by speaking up directly. "What's the matter, Nenah?" he asks. "Bad news." It's a small, almost throwaway line on paper, but it's loaded because it strongly implies Drew overheard her conversation, and it implies he's about to use that information the way Drew typically does, which is to provoke, to needle, to push exactly where it hurts most. And here's where the spoilers get genuinely shocking. Reports indicate Nenah gets pushed too far, and she pushes back. Now, when a soap spoiler uses language like that, it usually isn't speaking in metaphors. The strong implication here is that Nenah physically pushes Drew's wheelchair, either shoving it off the dock outright or releasing the brake and letting it roll into the water on its own. Either way, the outcome appears to be the same. Drew ends up in the lake. And this is where another name enters the story in a huge way: Gio. According to the spoilers, Gio, working as a lifeguard, saves a life that day, but here's the twist that makes this storyline so morally complicated. Reports suggest that some people in Port Charles genuinely wish he hadn't. Think about that for a second. A lifeguard doing exactly what a lifeguard is supposed to do, diving in without hesitation to save a drowning man, and instead of being universally celebrated for it, he may end up surrounded by people who, quietly, in their most honest moments, wish Drew had simply gone under. Willow, Nenah, Jack, Tracy, and others are all speculated to feel some version of that conflicted, guilty relief mixed with regret. Of course, none of them would ever act on that feeling, and Gio would never for a second consider not diving in to save someone. But the emotional complexity of an entire ensemble of characters wrestling with a genuinely uncomfortable truth that maybe this outcome wasn't the one they secretly hoped for is exactly the kind of storytelling that makes this show so magnetic. It forces the audience to ask themselves an uncomfortable question too. If you were in their position, having watched what Drew has put this family through, would you feel differently? Friday isn't done yet either. Elizabeth is shown pushing back on Willow, possibly connected to a pair of strokes that occurred at Willow's house, or possibly tied directly to Drew winding up in that lake. And in a storyline thread that ties everything together, Dante reportedly sets up some kind of test for Chase, one that may connect directly back to those missing case files Dante is believed to have gotten rid of in the first place. If that's true, then Dante isn't just reacting to pressure anymore. He's actively trying to manage it, to control the narrative before it spirals completely out of his hands. That's a dangerous game for anyone to play, let alone a man who has spent his entire life trying to be one of the good guys. And in a moment that feels almost like a deep breath before the real storm hits, Danny and Jason are shown returning from their trip, arriving back at General Hospital. Britt sees Jason and, according to spoilers, she smiles, genuinely thrilled to see him again. But here's the gut punch. Reports strongly hint that Britt shouldn't be quite so excited because Jason's return doesn't appear to be about rekindling anything romantic between them. If that's accurate, Britt is about to experience one more disappointment in a week that's already been full of them for her, courtesy of her ongoing probation and Liz's watchful eye. So that's the full runway leading into the week we actually came here to talk about, the week of July 27th through the 31st. And once you understand everything that's already in motion, you start to see just how explosive this next stretch is going to be. The centerpiece appears to be Valentin approaching Jack with the black box, the same one Brennan apparently couldn't locate. According to spoiler reporting, Jack gets what he needs, and it comes from what's described as a surprising source. Given everything we know, that surprising source is very likely Valentin himself, someone who has spent years being anything but a reliable ally to Jack. But here's the catch, and it's a significant one. Jack is reportedly going to have to pay a very high price for whatever it is Valentin is offering. The kind of curiosity gap that keeps you refreshing for updates all week long. Once Jack has whatever it is he needs, he's expected to reach out to Nenah to tell her about this breakthrough. But there's a devastating catch built right into the timing. It may already be too late because of what happened out at that lake. Think about the cruel irony here. Jack may finally be closing in on something that could change everything, information that could shift the entire balance of power in this shooting cover-up, and it might arrive just after the worst possible moment for Nenah, right after the incident with Drew. Timing like that isn't an accident in storytelling. It's designed to maximize heartbreak, and it's exactly the kind of gut-wrenching near miss that soap fans have come to expect from the very best storylines this genre has to offer. Now let's circle back to Rocco, because he remains at the absolute center of everything we've discussed. He is not out of the woods when it comes to the Cullum shooting, especially now that Anna has fully committed herself to digging into it. But according to the spoilers, Rocco isn't facing this alone. He's got real support in his corner. Dante, Laura, Sonny, and even Jack all appear to be circling the wagons around him in one way or another. That's a formidable group of protectors, but it's also a group with wildly different methods, different risk tolerances, and different relationships to the truth. Sonny, for instance, has never exactly been shy about bending rules to protect family. Dante, on the other hand, has built his entire professional identity around not doing that. Watching how these two philosophies collide while both men try to shield the same young man is going to be must-watch television. There's also word that Jason is going to press Rocco to put all of this behind him, which raises an interesting question about whether Jason sees this as a matter that can simply be closed through sheer will, the way Jason has historically handled so many of his own complicated moral situations. Whether Rocco is capable of simply moving on from something this heavy remains to be seen. Family reunions continue too, with Stella reportedly welcoming Marshall home to Port Charles, and naturally, he's eager to meet his new grandson. It's a warm beat amid all this tension, a reminder that General Hospital never lets any single storyline swallow the whole canvas completely. We're also told Rocco is going to grow closer to Scout, who has been aged up into a teenager and is now being played by Caden Tarowski, adding a whole new dynamic to a friendship, or possibly something more, that fans have been watching develop for years in the background of this show. But things reportedly remain rocky between Rocco, Danny, and Charlotte, suggesting that even as Rocco navigates this life-altering legal jeopardy, his personal relationships aren't offering him much of a soft place to land. And in a related thread, Jason is shown pressing Danny to play nice with Drew, seemingly so Danny can continue seeing his sister Scout without unnecessary conflict standing in the way. Given everything Drew has been doing, and given what may have just happened to him at that lake, that's a genuinely complicated ask. Elsewhere, Ethan and Ava are shown heating up romantically, though spoilers make clear that whatever spark ignites between them isn't going to last, because Ethan is apparently forced to go on the run. It's a storyline that feels destined for heartbreak almost as soon as it begins, which, if we're honest, might be exactly the point. There's also a new doctor named Tristan entering the picture, and reports suggest he may have unexpected. And finally, we're told to watch for the debut of a new character, businessman Hudson, played by Troy Apple, who's described as being tied to some villains within the show's current landscape. There's speculation that Hudson could be connected to Sidwell, potentially serving as one of his allies sent into town, specifically because Jordan has refused to cooperate with Sidwell's plans. If that theory holds up, it means Jordan's earlier decision to turn down that offer regarding her scars may end up having far larger consequences than anyone initially expected, rippling outward into an entirely new criminal thread involving a character we haven't even met yet. Before we wrap up, there's one more piece of news worth mentioning, and it's a bit of a departure from the fictional drama we've spent the last while unpacking. This one involves Kirsten Storms, the actress behind Maxie, and it's real, publicly shared information rather than a plot spoiler. According to her own recent public post, she chopped off her hair and returned to a brunette look, and by most accounts, it's a striking change that has gotten a lot of positive attention. In that same post, she reportedly opened up about the stress of being placed into show business from a young age, the challenges of starting elementary school